This is the 9 to 5 game review. It's a video where I review games from the perspective of the 9 to 5 worker. If you work a full-time job and you come home and find yourself with limited time to play video games, this is the perfect video for you to assess whether a game is going to be fun in the small amount of time that you have to play. I find that many people who review video games online who are popular are playing it from a different perspective than most of us can relate to. Typically, making videos is their full-time job, and that affords them hours and hours of time to play games, to grind them out, to do the bonus content, to do things that are not typically fun to do if that's all you can do. For example, if I only had 2 hours to play, I wouldn't want to spend that farming in a game that's a first-person shooter. But people who make these videos are able to commit that time, and maybe they give you a feel for the game that's not honest to how your experience is going to be. So if you're like me and you go to work and you come home, you walk your cat, you feed your dog, you wash your dishes, and then you play an hour of a game and you're looking to have the most fun you can in that small amount of time, then stay tuned for this video. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing Baldur's Gate 3. Extremely popular game, you probably heard of it. Currently, I played for 176.2 hours, so I played this game quite a lot. It costs right now $79.99 Canadian, so that's AAA full price game, very expensive. It's a strategy game, it's turn-based, it's co-op, it's multiplayer, you can play with your friends, you can play by yourself. Getting right into the review. The way this works is each category is designed to go over a criteria that is relevant to somebody who has a limited time to play. The first one is called time to reward. What this means is how quickly, when you boot up the game, is it enjoyable? Is there a long intro cutscene that's unskippable? Is the tutorial sequence boring and strenuous? Well, for this game, there is an intro cutscene. Story is a very large component of this game, so it is fun just for the combat and other systems, but if you are going to buy it, I would recommend that you do pay attention to the story and don't skip the dialogue or cutscenes. I find a lot of the gameplay I had was just reloading saves just to hear different things that the characters would say. It's written very well. So the cutscene is not that long, and then, if you take 10 hours to make your own character, because there was a character customization, that's not the game's fault, that's your fault. So in terms of the minimum time it takes to get in, it is front-loaded. So imagine you download it, it's ready to go, you get home from work. That first day, honestly, you're not going to play much. You're going to watch the cutscene, you're going to make your character, and that's going to take a while. Then you make this extra character, you customize the way that looks. And then the beginning of the game, you're going to be quite slow in terms of not knowing how the systems work, just how to walk around, use your abilities. So it does take a while to get in. So the first time you play, how quickly is it gratifying? I don't think it's that good. So if you're looking to just immediately have some entertainment, it's not going to provide that for you. That being said, after you get through the introduction sequence, your consecutive play sessions, which there will be many of, you'll get right into it a lot more frequently because there won't be any cutscene. You'll just pick up right where you left off. So if you remember what you were doing, then it can be gratifying right away. You can get into the play experience pretty quick. So, this one is really between a 3 and a 4. But I find that even when the tutorial is out of the way and you are loading up the game, it does take a while for you to get your bearings. And you might not even be in a combat encounter. You might be just traversing the map or going through dialogue, managing your inventory. So this is not if you're looking for, I need to play something, I'm in the car and I'm waiting for my food to be ready from the fast food restaurant, you're going to pull out Slay the Spire, you're going to pull out Balatro, you're not going to pull out Baldur's Gate on your Steam Deck or something like that, right? It's not like a very quick game to get into. Learning curve. So all this means is, how difficult is the game? How long does it take you to become proficient at what the game provides? So I would say the learning curve in this game is quite steep, only because it is a strategy game, it's a turn-based game, and your ability to succeed will be based on your knowledge of the encounters, which you cannot know the first time unless you spoil it for yourself. But largely, it will be based on your knowledge of the abilities. When I played the first time, I did obviously way worse than every consecutive playthrough that I had, and most of that just came from my lack of knowledge. I didn't know what Hold Person would do. I didn't know that if I was trapped in Hold Person, that every melee attack that scored on me would always be a critical hit. I didn't know that you could slip in grease 1,000 times. I didn't know you could freeze surfaces or electrify surfaces. So there are many, many, many systems in this game. Even now when I play, I learn interactions that I didn't know before. And the more you learn, the better you are, the more fun you have. So, it's a balancing act between when you don't know anything, the game is still fun. It does ease you into the systems. You're only level 1, the enemies that you encounter are lower level in the beginning too, and that limits the amount of actions you can take per turn, the amount of spells that are even available to cast, so it's not super daunting. But even still, there are quite a variety of classes, and at level 1, they still have their unique abilities. So you will fight an encounter with a few bandits right away, and one will be a mage, one will be an archer, one will be a barbarian. And you'll be like, well, what the fuck was that? They just hit me with this thing, and I only have 10 HP. My whole party's dead. So it's quite punishing in the beginning. Truly, it is. So I'm not going to sugarcoat that. But, you know, the later you get, the more powerful you become, the more you learn. And then if you ever do replay the game, it's easy mode, even on the harder difficulties, just because it's really easy to take advantage of this game, which is very fun. So, but I'm not going to lie, learning curve is steep. So again, this is making the game sound way worse than it is. This is a fantastic game, but if you have limited time, you see I have 176 hours. So I had a long time to build my enjoyment over many weeks and, time off and weekends grinding this game. But if you're just wanting to get into it, be warned. These are legitimate warnings about how long it'll take you to get in and enjoy the game. Session flexibility. So what this means is, you can imagine a multiplayer game. If it's a competitive shooter like Counter-Strike, League of Legends, Dota, there's limited flexibility with that. You get in, you're locked in. If you abandon that game, you lose rank, your teammates are pissed at you. So you need to be able to set aside enough time to find the queue and to play. Give yourself 45 minutes to an hour. So that's kind of the session flexibility. If the game is single player, typically it affords you the luxury of being able to leave whenever you want. So you can pause, you can save at any time. This game is like that. It depends, though, if you're playing single player or multiplayer. Even if you're playing multiplayer, as the host of the world, you can quick save pretty much at any time in the middle of anything. So that's beneficial, even in the middle of combat at a turn. So this is extremely flexible for you if you're playing single player especially. Any point in the game, in combat, in the middle of a dialogue, in between any step of anything, you can save at that exact moment, Alt F4 the game. When you come back, everything will be preserved. So this is the maximum score you could possibly get. You can save and leave at any time. No penalties whatsoever. Grind and tedium. The way that I describe a grind in a video game is if it's making you do something that isn't fun for the purposes of a system that gives you player power, there's an incentive for you to have to do it, to enjoy other parts of the game. So grindy games are like Destiny 2. You're doing monotonous, repetitive content. You're doing World of Warcraft, for example, farming materials to build potions for your professions or something like that. Things that are, I'm playing a game about killing things. Why am I farming herbs? So if you see yourself participating in a system where you're like, what am I doing? For example, I just played a game called Enshrouded, which is a survival crafting game like Valheim. And to progress in the tiers, I want my bronze sword turns into a steel sword that's the main loop of the game, is fight stronger enemies, get stronger, level up your guy. I found myself at the end, I had to capture yaks and feed them and build them a bed to collect wool. Well, I didn't sign up to play a farming simulator. That's not what I wanted. And for 90% of the game up until that point, that was never necessary. But then it said, no, for you to progress, you have to go farm 40 herbs and you have to go tame 10 yaks to get their wool. And I said, fuck this. That's a grind for me. It's not what I signed up to do when I played that game, but the game is forcing me to anyway, and it's not enjoyable. You literally sit by your keyboard and you wait for the yak to produce fur. So that's a grind. So is it present in this game? No, not really. The game has a linear story from beginning to end with bonus, sprawling side quests in ways that they interact. But you'll never really find yourself farming camps for XP. Enemies don't really respawn in this game. There's just a checkbox. You encounter it, and then you're done for that playthrough. And everything is perfectly handcrafted. There's no randomization. There's no procedural generation. So if you find yourself doing something extra to the campaign, it's still very rewarding because it's handcrafted. It's the enemies are selected on purpose. They drop valuable loot that's unique to that area. So really, this game, I would say, has no grind whatsoever, which is perfect. Value proposition. All this means is, how good is the game relative to how much it costs? Well, this game is a masterpiece, but it also costs as much as you could ask for a game. Or almost it does, at least. So honestly, typically for a AAA game, or a game that charges AAA price, I find it difficult to score maximum points for the value proposition. Only because, at least in recent days, most AAA games fail to deliver based on their price point relative to the indie competition. Well, this studio is kind of like a triple indie, where it has the resources of a AAA, but it has the soul of an indie game company. So what I'm saying is, they've done an amazing job such that I feel confident giving this 5 out of 5 for value proposition, even though the game is so expensive. The reason being is, you can replay this game so many times. There's so many different ways for the story to unfold. There's so many classes, there's so many subclasses, and each of them has their own unique interactions and abilities. You can get a fundamentally different experience every time you play. I've only scratched the surface, and you can see that I played, even if you account for maybe 30 hours of AFK. 140 hours of gameplay, right? Um, average that out. If you divide my $80 by 140, my per hour cost to enjoy this game. And I know I'll play this again. So, I'm going to get up to 200, 300 hours on this single purchase. No DLCs have been released. It's all the updates they provided with bonus content, new subclasses, new abilities have been completely free. So, if you end up enjoying this game, you're going to get more out of it, and you'll like it more the more you learn, because you'll be able to take advantage of things that make you succeed better in combat and therefore have more fun. And you'll just be aware of things. The first time you play, you miss a lot of upgrades. Oh, I didn't know this necklace was there. These boots were there. This armor thing was there. I didn't know I could get to level 7 in Act 1. But when you replay again, you take advantage of all those secrets right off the bat, and then you just start steamrolling the game. It feels very satisfying. Memory burden. So what does this mean? It means how complicated is the game such that if you try to play again, you have to relearn things because it's so complicated or there's so much going on. The memory burden is something that plays most of an effect in RPGs where you have a single character file that goes on for a long amount of time. So imagine you're playing a roguelike like Balatro. Every time you play, it starts from scratch. So there's nothing from your previous playthrough that you really have to keep in your brain to aid you on your next one. So you could imagine you win or lose or give up on a run 3 weeks ago and you want to play again. You don't have to remember what you were doing 3 weeks ago. It just starts you from scratch. RPGs like this, though, if I play a game and I'm 30 hours in, well, my character has a level that's been assigned, I have party members, they all have sets of equipment, I'm in the middle of 6 side quests, I'm in a region, part of the map is undiscovered. As I play my character, I'm building all of this context. If I don't have it in my brain, it's going to be making it very difficult for me to know what to do next if I forget those things. So this game suffers like most RPGs, Skyrim, Oblivion, anything like that. It has a memory burden. So if I were to play, I haven't played this game in months. If I were to just jump in one of my playthroughs, that's 50 hours in the middle of Act 2, it would be a real struggle for me to feel aligned with the character's objective at that point, because I have no knowledge of where it's at in the story, what my build was, what I was going for, and I have to essentially spend a lot of time in menus checking to see how I've allocated. What spell slots do I have? What scrolls? Why am I here? Which parties members do I have? Is Will's story progress, or is this a Shadowheart run? And so, when you have 2 hours to play, you don't want to do an hour and a half of investigation just to know what you're doing. So unfortunately for this game, it's going to be in your best interest to start and complete your entire campaign without really having large breaks in between. Otherwise, if you only have short amounts of time to play, it's not going to be enjoyable when you have to reteach yourself what you were doing with your character. So this one definitely does have a memory burden. It's not, I don't know, it's tricky. The good thing about this is it's not open world like Skyrim. In Skyrim, you can be anywhere at any time in the story effectively, because the second you get out of the gate, you can go wherever you want. So it's harder to remember. In Baldur's Gate, at least the acts have sequences. So it's much easier contextually for you to know what you're doing because there's finite constrained amounts of things that you could possibly have even done. So as an investigator, if I gave somebody a 70-hour Skyrim file and a 70-hour Baldur's Gate file, they'd find out way quicker what the hell you're doing in Baldur's Gate than in Skyrim. Core loop satisfaction. All this means is, in a traditional review, how good is the game? So once you're up to speed, you've gotten over a bit of the learning curve. The introduction, the tutorials, and the beginning sequence are out of the way, so they're no longer a problem. You know what you're doing enough to have fun. Well, how fun is it? Is it even a good game when all of those hurdles are gone? Well, of course, the answer is yes for this. This is a masterpiece game. So I'll just briefly touch on those points, because again, this review is more about, in a limited time, is this game good? This review is not about, is this game good objectively, is this game good in general? You'll find endless reviews that more or less go into all of the game systems and why it's good or bad. But my brief summary is fantastic story, fantastic soundtrack, fantastic gameplay. It's a masterpiece. This is one of the best games ever made. You have to play it, regardless of whether you like this genre or not. You have to give it a try. Spend your $80 and gamble. You need to understand how games can be in the modern era. I hear a lot of distaste for AAA games being lacking soul or feeling. We're used to Bad Company 2, Modern Warfare 2, GTA 4, Halo 3. Back in the day when AAA had soul and those games were so weighty, and people of my age or older feel jaded about the current Modern Warfare 15 and stuff like that, and I understand that. Sometimes people make the claim that nothing good comes out these days at that level. Well, this is an example of an amazing game at a AAA level that you need to understand. There are fantastic AAA games being produced. So if you don't play this, you'll be missing out on, a cultural phenomenon as well. So you have to play this. It's a fantastic game, one of the best games ever made. I'm not providing you with much detail as to why that is, but please just go looking. There's endless amounts of videos that go into every detail as to why this game is fantastic. And then the last thing that I can do to assign this a score is I can personally give my opinion about whether or not I think this game is unique in a way that I enjoy. And for me, if there were ever a game where I would have to give maximum points, it's this one. So I can assign up to 0.5 of half of 1 point just for my personal preference. So for the games that I played, in my experience, and I don't really hold myself back from any genre. Strategy, multiplayer FPS, single player, whatever, farming simulator, Hello Kitty, island adventure, I'll play them all. This game, truly, if I haven't gotten it through to you yet, it's just great on all fronts. If you like taking a step back and just if you like dialogue heavy games, if you like BioWare, was the old BioWare, Mass Effect, Dragon Age, the social interactions, the character stories, if you like games like that, it's fantastic in that respect. If you like satisfying turn-based, Divinity 2, the game they made before this, if you've ever enjoyed turn-based games, this is one of the best of all times. Build crafting, theory crafting, using your brain to think about how things can interact, replaying the game from a different angle. It's fantastic in that respect. Sound design, the feel, the weight, how it attacks the haptic feedback of just the sounds from the gold entering your inventory. It's great. Pretty much pick any game design element, and it's fantastic. It's not tedious. It respects the player's time. It's super fluid, super polished. Save at any time, load at any time. I can't say any more than that. Now to add it to the table of all of the games that I've ranked before, let's just get me to memorize these scores. 3-3, 5-5-5, 3-5. Okay, Baldur's Gate 3. So it was 3, 3, 555, and then another 3, and then a 5. And then my maximum amount of points of a 0.5. Let's sort this now. So what does that make it? You might think, every time I look at this table, I shock myself. Because if a traditional game ranking table would look nothing like this. This is horrifying to see some of these games ranked the way they are. But again, this is not an objective ranking of these games. This is from the perspective of somebody, many people, a large amount of people who play video games are probably in our situation, which is that you cannot grind. It's not like high school. It's not summer break. You can't wake up at 4 a.m., play till 4 a.m., and just repeat that cycle, So we're looking at more realistic time frames of playing, 3 hours, 2 hours, longer on the weekend. And in that amount of time, yes, it is possible that a game like Baldur is better than Baldur's Gate, only because Baldur doesn't hold you back. You get in, there's no tutorial, there's no nothing, there's no memory burden. You're in, you're out, and it's fun. Baldur's Gate 3 is a superior game to that game, but for somebody with limited time, it comes at certain prices, right? You have to be willing to subject yourself to learning. It's not like it's kind of fun to learn. It's also challenging. When I first played, I played on the higher difficulty, and I had to replay many of the combat encounters, and it was a pain in the fucking ass because they had the high ground. And just something like that, if an enemy's up here and your party's here, and you walk this way, that's it, game over. Because you have a 10% chance to hit them, and they have a 99 fucking percent chance to hit you. Good luck getting yourself out of that. So when you're first playing, you don't know how the encounters are set up. So then I load my previous save, and then I fucking walk around the back of the hill. Suddenly, I have a much better chance. But because you don't know, and you're not going to spoil it for yourself, the first time playing through, you're going to lose more than you would otherwise. And then it gets way better after that. But that's asking a lot if somebody has limited time, right? You're asking somebody to put in, for me, I know life this game, which is hard for me. I spent a whole fucking weekend playing it, like as many hours as I could to accelerate that, get myself out of that initial inert period. So for somebody who can't commit that amount of time, I can't expect them to enjoy this as much as they would a game that's faster to enjoy. Anyway, that's my ranking. If you like that kind of thing, check out my other videos.